I don't know about you guys, but it can be really difficult sometimes to spend money, especially if you're making that transition into retirement. You've gotten a paycheck your entire life from XYZ Corporation, comes in every week, 2 weeks, every month, but it comes in, it's guaranteed as long as you're doing good work and you're employed. But when you make that transition to retirement, you don't have that guaranteed paycheck anymore. And that's one of the things that makes it really difficult for some retirees to spend money. You don't have that guaranteed paycheck. And there's a lot of practical reasons and psychological reasons for why this is a thing. One of those things is loss aversion. The feeling of loss is much stronger when we lose something than the corresponding feeling of pleasure and of good happiness is when we gain something. So when we're going into retirement, we're having to spend that money that you've worked so hard your whole life to save up. You may see that nest egg go down a little bit. It's really hard to imagine that happening. And then there's also just a lot of anxiety around maybe running out of money. There are many different studies out there showing this, one of which was done 2024 by a life insurance company called Allianz. They put out that half of the retirees that they surveyed have anxiety around spending money. So half of you out there are having a really challenging time either spending your money if you're in retirement or thinking about spending money building up to retirement. So that's why I wanted to make this video here today, because man, you guys have worked your whole life to save up this money for retirement, and I want you to have the best retirement you possibly can. And you do that by spending the money that you've worked so hard to accumulate. So a strategy to help you guys be able to spend more money is, I think that there are some things that you could purchase before you get into retirement to help alleviate some of that anxiety and discomfort about spending money in retirement. And there's a lot of good practical reasons here too of why I think it's helpful to spend this money. So I've yammered on enough about some reasonings here and some backing why I think you guys should spend money before you get into retirement. But let's jump into some of these things that I think would be helpful for you to be buying before you make that jump into this next season. One of the biggest purchases that I think is helpful for you to be looking to make before you retire is if you're looking to purchase a home. And there are many different reasons for why I think this can be a good idea, but the main one is that it's much easier for you to get a mortgage while you still have income coming in. It makes it a much more challenging process while you don't have an income stream. Even if you have all of the assets available to purchase a home, it can just make it more difficult. But that's if you are needing a mortgage. Of course, in an ideal world, you don't have a mortgage going into retirement, another weigh on your cash flows. So if you have the cash set aside, it's just better to go ahead and get that done before you jump into retirement. It just makes that move much easier. And this is again one of those things that if you're thinking about downsizing, moving to another state, it can be challenging to make some of these bigger decisions once you're already into retirement and don't have income coming in that you can fall back on and rely on. It makes it harder to make bigger decisions around your finances when that guaranteed income source isn't coming in anymore. Even if you have a lot of assets set aside, I've seen families still struggle to make some of these bigger decisions. Next up, and it is in the same category of purchasing a home in a sense, but also doing big home projects. I've seen people miss out for several years on having the kitchen of their dreams or that shop out back where you can do your projects. You guys have, again, worked hard for this retirement, and you should be able to enjoy it if it's within reason. And I don't know if you guys know this, but if you're transitioning into retirement, you're going to be spending a lot more time at home. So you want to really do an intentional job of making that a place of refuge, of joy, a place that you can really enjoy spending time, because you're going to be there a lot now. So knocking out those home projects can be really helpful for you psychologically and just setting yourself up to have a great retirement. But then also on the practical side of things, that's knocking out some big expenses that would weigh on your portfolio once you get into retirement. And that really helps your nest egg to stay healthy, to keep growing, to continue to give you income down the road. Another great idea of something for you to go ahead and knock out before you jump into retirement is knocking out any healthcare or dental expenses. For most of you, you have a great job going into retirement, so you probably have a much more comprehensive healthcare package than you will once you get into retirement on Medicare. It's probably better and more cost effective to go ahead and knock out any maybe surgeries you've been putting off, dental work, getting those new glasses, just different things that it's easy to kick down the road for later. Again, easier to make those purchases when you have income coming in. It also just gives you guys a lot of peace of mind, just knowing that you've got an XYZ surgery or health concern taken care of before you jump into retirement. Another purchase that can be a great idea to go ahead and knock out is buying a great, reliable car. A lot of you maybe have put off buying a car. You've maybe aspired to the Dave Ramsey ideology of buying a car used and driving it to the ground, saving up, buying another used car, and that's really maybe been really helpful for you saving up and investing well for retirement. But I mean, if you've got a beater going into retirement, you're going to need a new car eventually. So it makes a lot of sense to, while you have income coming in, go ahead and knock out getting a new car that you can rely on for 15, 20 years going into retirement. Again, this is another big peace of mind thing. Just knowing that wherever you're driving around, you're going on your road trips, you're visiting grandkids, you're doing all these different things, that you've got a great car that you can rely on and just feel great that it's going to run well. It's going to get you where you need to go. You don't have to worry about getting a new transmission or any miscellaneous thing that can go wrong with maybe an older car. 2 more items here to buy before you're going into retirement. 1, go ahead and just prepay for any trips or bucket list items that you're wanting to experience, or maybe that you've been dreaming about for the last couple of years before you retire. Again, it can be harder to pull the trigger on some of these big trips, paying that big bill to make it happen once that paycheck's not coming in anymore. So if you go ahead and pre-purchase that as sort of a forcing mechanism to get you out the door and get you going to Paris or to New Zealand, wherever it is that you're wanting to go travel to, maybe just making that road trip around seeing all of the national parks, go ahead and set that money aside, buy the plane tickets, do what you need to do to get yourself out the door to go travel, go do what you've been dreaming of. And lastly, I think this one is also super important, but don't put it off or wait to be generous. Go ahead and make those gifts to your kids if you're wanting to. Go ahead and make that big gift to your church or that nonprofit that you've been thinking about, or maybe you've been wanting to do that for a bit. Again, it can be more difficult to pull the trigger on larger gifts once you get into retirement, so getting that out of the way before you make that transition can be really helpful. And I say out of the way, but it's more so what I want and what I think is helpful is you're actually exercising that muscle while you still have income coming in. And I think that sets you up well to continue to be generous once you're into retirement. And of course, generosity is one of those things that I think gives you the most fulfillment and the most joy while you are in retirement. So it's one of those things that I think is a key component to having just a really happy and fulfilling retirement. So I want to make sure that you guys are working that muscle too, setting yourselves up well to have a great retirement by buying these things, being generous, doing all those things. So a lot of you are great savers. That's how you've gotten to where you are. That's how you've gotten to a space where you can prepare to retire well. But one space that many people don't think about is making these purchases before retirement. It's also a great way to set yourself up well, like you have been saving your whole life. But it's a little bit of a flip-flop. You've been investing and saving, but who maybe would have thought that another great way to set yourself up well is to go ahead and spend some of that money. So I hope this has been helpful for you guys. I want to encourage you to go spend the money if you have it, if it is within reason to set yourselves up well. Go buy the car, make that house purchase, be generous, buy that trip, do those things that you've been prepping your whole life to do, and go have an amazing retirement. And of course, if you are someone and you need help looking at your retirement plan to make sure that you are on track for retirement, or to make sure that you do have the means to make some of these purchases, be happy to sit down with you, help any way that I can. You can click in the link below in our bio to schedule a free retirement planning call. And the goal there is just to make sure that you are set up and that you can feel confident you're going to have a great and fulfilling retirement. Hope this video was helpful for you guys, and I will see you next week. Take care.